Hate in the Counter-Transference by Donald Winnicott. The Paradox of Care: How Hate Can Be Therapeutic in Deep Psychological Healing. A brief summary. D.W. Winnicott's 1949 Hate in the Counter-Transference fundamentally reevaluates the role of the analyst's subjective feelings, particularly hate, in the therapeutic process, especially with psychotic patients. He argues that the analyst's conscious awareness and objective management of their own hate is not merely a sign of needing further analysis, but an essential prerequisite for effective treatment. This concept extends beyond psychoanalysis to general psychiatry, highlighting the inherent emotional burden of caring for severely ill patients. Winnicott challenges the traditional view of countertransference as solely abnormal, introducing the idea of objective countertransference, an appropriate and justified reaction to the patient's actual personality and behavior. He posits that a patient, particularly a psychotic, needs to experience the analyst's objective hate to ultimately believe in their objective love, drawing a powerful parallel to a mother's necessary, unexpressed hate for her infant. 1. The necessity of acknowledging analysts' hate, especially with psychotics. Winnicott asserts that analysis of psychotics becomes impossible unless the analyst's own hate is extremely well sorted out and conscious. He explicitly states that an analyst needs to be himself analyzed, but it also asserts that the analysis of a psychotic is irksome as compared with that of a neurotic, and inherently so. This understanding is not limited to psychoanalysis, but has value to the psychiatrist, even to one whose work does not in any way take him into the analytic type of relationship to patients. However much he loves his patients, he cannot avoid hating them and fearing them, and the better he knows this, the less will hate and fear be the motive determining what he does to his patients. 2. Redefining countertransference. Winnicott differentiates countertransference into 3 types. Abnormal countertransference, repressed feelings/identifications in the analyst, indicating a need for more personal analysis. Personal countertransference, analysts' unique experiences shaping their positive analytic setting, making their work distinct. Objective countertransference, the analyst's love and hate in reaction to the actual personality and behavior of the patient, based on objective observation. This is the crucial type when working with psychotics. He emphasizes that for analyzing psychotics, the analyst must be able to be so thoroughly aware of the countertransference that he can sort out and study his objective reactions to the patient. These will include hate. 3. Patient's imputation of motive and the coincident love-hate state. Patients can only appreciate in the analyst what he himself is capable of feeling. Psychotic patients, often in a coincident love-hate state, deeply believe the analyst is also capable of this crude and dangerous state. This state is distinct from aggressive components of primitive love and signifies an environmental failure at the time of the first object-finding instinctual impulses. If the analyst is to have crude feelings imputed to him, he is best forewarned and so forearmed, for he must tolerate being placed in that position. Above all, he must not deny hate that really exists in himself. 4. Justified objective hate as a therapeutic tool. Winnicott argues that the analyst's hate can be justified in the present setting and must be sorted out and kept in storage and available for eventual interpretation. He provides a personal anecdote about an almost loathsome, obsessional patient, realizing retrospectively that the unlikableness had been an active symptom, unconsciously determined. He found it a wonderful day when I could actually tell the patient that I and his friends had felt repelled by him, but that he had been too ill for us to let him know. This disclosure was a tremendous advance in his adjustment to reality. A main task of the analyst of any patient is to maintain objectivity in regard to all that the patient brings, and a special case of this is the analyst's need to be able to hate the patient objectively. He clarifies that while hate is ordinarily latent in neurotic analysis, it is under greater strain with psychotics and can only be managed by being thoroughly aware of it. Crucially, in certain stages of certain analyses, the analyst's hate is actually sought by the patient, and what is then needed is hate that is objective. If the patient seeks objective or justified hate, he must be able to reach it, else he cannot feel he can reach objective love. He likens this to an adopted child testing guardian's ability to hate objectively, as he can believe in being loved only after reaching being hated. 5. The analogy of the mother's hate for her infant. This is a cornerstone of Winnicott's argument. I suggest that the mother hates the baby before the baby hates the mother, and before the baby can know his mother hates him. He lists numerous reasons for a mother's hate, including: the baby is a danger to her body in pregnancy and at birth. The baby is an interference with her private life, a challenge to preoccupation. He is ruthless, treats her as scum, an unpaid servant, a slave. She has to love him, excretions and all, at any rate at the beginning, till he has doubts about himself. He tries to hurt her, periodically bites her, all in love. He shows disillusionment about her. The baby at first must dominate. All this needs his mother's continuous and detailed study. At first, he does not know at all what she does or what she sacrifices for him. Especially, he cannot allow for her hate. If she fails him at the start, she knows he will pay her out forever. He excites her but frustrates. She mustn't eat him or trade in sex with him. A mother has to be able to tolerate hating her baby without doing anything about it. She cannot express it to him. Her ability to be hurt so much by her baby and to hate so much without paying the child out is remarkable. Winnicott concludes, if this is true, a psychotic patient in analysis cannot be expected to tolerate his hate of the analyst unless the analyst can hate him. 6. The analyst as first to supply environmental essentials for psychotics. For patients with profoundly deficient or distorted early experiences, the analyst has to be the first in the patient's life to supply certain environmental essentials. This means provision and maintenance of an ordinary environment can be in itself a vitally important thing in the analysis of a psychotic. In fact, it can be, at times, even more important than the verbal interpretations. The physical aspects of the analytic setting, couch, warmth, for neurotics are symbolic of maternal love, but for the psychotic it would be more true to say that these things are the analyst's physical expression of love. The couch is the analyst's lap or womb, and the warmth is the live warmth of the analyst's body. 7. Timing and interpretation of hate. The analyst must be prepared to bear strain without expecting the patient to know anything about what he is doing, perhaps over a long period of time. Eventually, he ought to be able to tell his patient what he has been through on the patient's behalf, but this may not always occur. Interpreting the analyst's hate to the patient is fraught with danger, and it needs the most careful timing. However, an analysis is incomplete if even towards the end it has not been possible for the analyst to tell the patient what he, the analyst, did unbeknown for the patient whilst he was ill, in the early stages. This is because until the interpretation is made, the patient is kept to some extent in the position of infant, one who cannot understand what he owes to his mother. Key implications for practice and understanding. Self-awareness and personal analysis. The paper strongly reinforces the need for deep personal analysis for anyone working with severely disturbed patients. This analysis must extend to recognizing and integrating one's own capacity for hate. Empathy with the caregiver's burden. Winnicott's work provides a framework for understanding the immense emotional strain experienced by psychiatrists and mental health nurses, legitimizing their potentially negative feelings. Paradigm shift in countertransference. It moves beyond a purely pathological view of countertransference, introducing it as a potentially objective and therapeutically valuable phenomenon. Foundation for understanding primitive states. The parallel drawn to the mother-infant relationship offers a powerful lens for conceptualizing the intense, demanding, and often confusing dynamics in the treatment of psychotics, who regress to very primitive stages. Therapeutic value of reality testing. For some patients, experiencing the analyst's justified hate is a critical step in establishing a sense of objective reality and believing in the analyst's objective love. This implies that boundaries and expressions of hate, e.g., setting limits, ending sessions, are not just practical but profoundly therapeutic. Patience and holding environment. The need for the analyst to tolerate immense strain and postpone interpretation for long periods highlights the concept of the analyst as a holding environment, mirroring the mother's sustained care.